I'm Kelly Mitchell, and this is Women on Wine TV, a weekly show celebrating wine and living your very best life. And we highlight and sip luscious wines while discussing lifestyle, travel, and of course, wine. Filmed from our California and Washington studios and on location, we pepper these conversations with fabulousness and also include tastemakers from all walks of life. Joining me today is my partner in wine, Deborah Trapin. Welcome, Deborah.
Hello, hello, my dear. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I always say fabulous. I need a new word. How about fantastic?
I think you are fabulous. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a signature fabulous.
Well, thank you, darling. And how are you?
I am absolutely divine today. Blessed beyond measure, just living the dream.
Totally hear you and completely agree. Well, I'm super excited about today's show because we're talking about the Glow of Grenache. Grenache is like one of the most widely grown grapes in the world. And in fact, in the 70s and 80s, 500,000 beautiful, delicious acres of Grenache was grown. And it's kind of crazy how things have changed a little bit. And now it's kind of taken the place of the 1980s rosé. Nobody likes it, or nobody's really growing it the way that they used to. So I want to get a little bit into that, but we definitely want to talk about what's in our glasses and begin with a quote. Wines are like women in that it's often imperfections that fascinate. That's from Sam Neill. Adore you, Sam Neill.
Oh my God, I love that. That is so awesome.
And our word for the show is Grenache. And that means what, Miss Deborah?
You have to sip.
You have a sip. Every time you hear that word, you have a sip. So Grenache, Grenache, sip away.
For a second, I thought you were asking me what Grenache meant. And I'm like, a grape? I didn't like that.
I absolutely love it. What's in your glass today?
One of my favorite vineyards and winemakers. It is, can you see this, Novelty Hill? It is their 100% Grenache. And I'm sure we're going to have a chit chat about the 100% and the mixtures and all of that. What
Absolutely.
I love is this is a 2010 Stillwater Creek Grenache. And Stillwater Creek, I've talked about them before. It's a beautiful vineyard down in eastern Washington. I've actually been there, walked the terroir. And so I feel this deeper connection with anything that comes out of that vineyard. But this wine is delicious. It is black cherries, which we all know that I love, and currants, which I definitely love. And it's spicy, but it's not as spicy as traditional Grenaches can be. So it's really, really nice. It has a nice mellow tannin, which of course is one of the beautiful cornerstones of most Rhones. So it's got a nice kind of sultry, long finish. How about you? What's in yours?
That sounds fabulous. In mine today, I have Shatter Grenache, and this is Shatter 2011. It is amazing. And this story, I love this story about these two dudes, amazing winemakers, Dave Phinney and Joel Gott. These guys are like, Joel Gott's got his own winery, and Dave Phinney does wine under another name, but you can find out more at shatterwine.com. But the cool thing about these two dudes is they found this place in France. I think Dave actually found it first. And it was on this, it was definitely old school vineyards, like vines kind of growing crazy in a rocky hillside that was like blown apart by wind and the elements. And he saw magic there, and he like brought Joel Gott into the fold. And the next thing you know, they're making Shatter wine, which this to me is absolutely insane. This is also 100% Grenache. And it's so funny because we've got some of the same notes. I've got cherry in here. I want to say wild cherry on the nose, and it's a fantastic, I kind of get like a little bit of strawberry and blackberry in there as well. and even a teeny bit of oak. So not a lot, but just a teeny bit of oak, and mildly tannic, and just really delicious. A delicious Rhone. Absolutely love it.
I love it. I love it. What would you pair yours with? And I'll tell you what I pair mine with.
So, I would pair this with, I would definitely pair this with my, my hearty butternut squash gnocchi with sage butter, just oozing in sage butter, and fresh made gnocchi. Because it's a huge compliment, I think, to a dish like that. It's very rich, and this cuts the fat a little bit because of the mild acidity and the mild tannin. So very smooth pairing. How about you?
So this one is, while not a beast, I would definitely do it with, I have this really yummy slow cooked lamb daube recipe.
Ooh.
So think like a stew. And as as summer comes to an end, or as you're going into a colder season, I think I just love the smells of the daubes, the stews just cooking. And so could easily go with a beef as well, but I think I'd do this more with a lamb for sure. And lots of really good root vegetables in there. Definitely the recipe is on Pinterest. We'll include that in the blog for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
And, you need to get in touch with Novelty Hill. They are pretty darn active on social media. Instagram, they do a lot of reposting when people tag them. They are at NHJ Wines. That's Novelty Hill Janic Wines. So if you take a picture of yourself with their wine, tag them, and don't forget to tag us, Found Women on Wine.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And these Shatter Wine does not have a Twitter, sadly, because I'm sure that they could write some great stories based on this venture that they've put together. So, so we talked a little bit about how celebrated Grenache used to be, and that, I mean, they're even saying now there's like 20,000 acres growing in China, but I'm not able to verify that at all. But these grapes, because they have thicker skins, they do super well in rugged regions. And the more that this grape struggles, the more powerful the essence of the wine, the more noticeable the fruit, the more noticeable the fruit, the dynamics, I mean, it's so fabulous. So this is a Grenache Noir, right?
Correct.
And which is also responsible for the Chateau Neuf de Pop wines that in some cases cost $600 a bottle, right?
Right. So there's the Côte de Rhône style.
Yes.
Grenache, which is what most of us, afford. And then the other more expensive region, which we all long to visit. I think the southern Mediterranean area in general, whether it's the Grenache from southern France or the Garnacha from Spain, which I love. I would love to do an episode on garnachas. There's just something that's like super spicy and sassy about them. And they're different, but they're all part of that same type of grape. I think it's interesting how, like with fashion, grapes come and go.
They really do. And people, I think right now, they're not really liking Grenache. I think the winemakers love it, but when you look at it from a business side, Grenache doesn't produce a super high yield. And it's because those poor vines are struggling so hard to, produce the fruit.
Right.
And part of the reason that they call this wine that I'm drinking Shatter is because they struggle so hard, the flowers fall off the vines a lot, and those flowers are responsible for generating the actual grapes. So, and that's when the flower falls, it's called shatter. It's ever so sad.
That is so sad. Well, what's interesting is I'm seeing a lot of Rhone style grapes kind of coming to the forefront while Grenache is moving to the back, like the Clunois and the Sansots and all of these kind of like, these hidden blending grapes. Even,
yes.
Robert Ramsey, when we were there, remember we tried the La Previa? And
Yes.
that was like 50% Grenache. And then they had, I want to say there was also Cabernet inside there with a Counois. So there's people who are even blending like Rhone style and Bordeaux styles, and they're getting a little funky with using Grenache. And I kind of like it. You know, it's a little bit like mixing your bell bottoms with, you know, a fringe jacket.
You know, I totally agree. And I love that there's more daring out there, that people are willing to take more chances with the blends and things like that. That I think the challenge, well, maybe it's not even a challenge, but this kind of era of blending is when you go to buy a blend, they're categorizing the blends in a lump. So you don't know what you're getting unless you have 15 minutes per bottle to sit down and, I mean, look at the label and or go on the website, because not all the blends disclose on their label what they're made up of. So I think for those people that are looking for specific grapes, it can be frustrating. It was for me anyway.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. And the interesting thing is, since Grenache has a pretty high alcohol, I think that's why they tend to use it when they're blending it, to kind of bring that all up and then blend it with, I see it a lot with Mourvedre, which is another Rhone grape, which is interesting. Yeah. I think that it's just, I think they need to mellow it out a little bit, or we'd all be walking around with a Grenache headache the next day.
Yes.
One of the interesting things, and we don't usually talk about this on the show, but the things not to drink with Grenache, like, I think that that's an interesting thing, since we've got, you know, the celebrating it is, you know, don't drink it with raw fish. Like, no sushi, no Japanese food, nothing steamed. And also stay away from anything that's got a lot of citrus. Like, a lot of Thai food has a lot of citrus in it, a lot of lemongrass. No with the Grenache. It does not go well. How about you? Like, do you have anything that you like, go, I'm not drinking it with that, or something else maybe that you're like, oh, I love it with this?
You know, I think that a good Grenache can be imbibed solo, and this is one of those. But I would not pair it with anything sweet, like super sweet. I think it would just completely clash. I mean, it's a smooth wine, but I don't know that it would be enhanced by sweets. Yeah. What I love about something that you just touched on is the Holy Trinity, or the Holy Grail of Grenache, which is that blend of Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. Is that how I say it? Mourvedre?
Mourvedre, yes.
Mourvedre, or GSM.
Yes, big.
Yeah, so I think when they're doing the GSMs, they're getting wine that's a lot more versatile. And as you noted, you know, there are some wines, because I think the Grenache is like 14 and a half to 16% alcohol by itself, and that is powerful.
Yes.
But let's talk for just a moment about Grenache Blanc, because they use it everywhere in France, right?
Yes. This is the one that we just tasted together over at Robert Ramsey, Grenache Blanc de Noir. It's sold out now. Sorry to say, sorry.
Gosh, that's depressing.
Sold out. But I have 5 bottles, so when you visit next time, we'll have to start. You know, the white Grenache, or the Blanc, is that it is beautiful with seafood. Like, I would in a heartbeat make, we should totally do this when you're here, lobster risotto with the Blanc de Noir.
I'm in. If you say lobster and risotto in the same sentence, I'm in. I'm in.
Well, I know you. Come on now. So, yeah, that's definitely, I mean, it's so different. And
it really is.
It blows my mind. That's a great, you're so smart to bring that up.
We are smart. Okay, so we've got to wrap, and we have about 15 seconds to wrap.
So I guess I'll say, that's a wrap. Woo-hoo. As always, thank you so much for joining us for a little Grenache talk today on Women on Wine TV. Join us online, all that channels. We are Women on Wine TV. Our hashtag is #WomenOnWine. You can tag us, and we will have a chit chat with you. Tell us what's in your glass. Tell us your favorite Grenache. Talk to us, babies. We are here for you.
I can't see you right now. There you are.
I'm still here.
Okay, sweetie. Great wrap.
Yes.
Love you all. Sip on your Grenache.
Yes. Sip on your Grenache. Woo!
And think of us. Woo woo.
Beezos.
Noodles.